Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Today I've got this black hole up here. I started working on this during another video when I was kind of working on this haunted house, but now I'm gonna finish it up, and really most of the work's yet to be done. Let me kind of fill you in on what I've already done. I took the power supply out of here and I did a little bit of work on it, and I didn't have my 5 volts, so I just chimped out. I already had this board came with the machine. It's a Rotten Dog, brand new power supply, so I threw it in here. I've got all my voltages. I've started with the grounding process. I've pulled this board. I've added a ground. I've just got it jammed under there for now. That'll ultimately go under that screw. Same for the soundboard power supply. I've got a ground wire attached to it. I put a new coin cell battery on there to get the old battery off of there. And that's all I've done back here. What I know, well, that ground wire is not attached. Now, I'm gonna have to make an attachment for it. So I've got to finish grounding the driver board and the soundboard up to the power supply, and then I've got to ground this power supply back to basically the grounding strap where all the grounds return right there, where the end of my finger is. So then everything will be ground on the same ground plane. So that's important to get rid of all the spurious kind of stuff. If things not working or kind of working. So what I know that's not working right now, the sound's not working. I've gone through, so like right now it's just in attract mode. And there's a relay clicking. I don't know if that's supposed to be clicking, like turning lights on or off, but it's, see, this has got a little, you know, that's not right. I went through the display test and I've got several dead digits, that one, and that one. So these two are paired during the test. So those are probably, those two missing ones are probably due to a bad chip on the MPU board. And that one is paired with that one, and that one works and this one doesn't. So that one's probably, I think it's that chip right there. It's probably the driver chip on that board. So those, and then this one here, it's working. I think this is, no, I thought it was an LED replacement, but it's not. I see the little lines in there. So that's an original, and it works great. Oh, that coil's missing. And there was a box of parts, and included in that part were several burn-up coils, probably with the coil, one of the coils that went there. So that transistor that drives that is definitely suspicious. Probably need to look at that when I pull the driver board out. The Playfield, I don't know what that is. Little hole there. No, that doesn't seem normal. Playfield's pretty worn, but I think I can stick Jane on it. See, that's what happens when you put those skirts on here. It makes it worse. It's almost like, because all the grit gets underneath it. So I'm gonna pull it off. I'm gonna strip this thing down, and geez, that is a failed attempt to repaint. Not a very good paint job, and it wasn't, the paint wasn't protected, so it just wears off again. All these plastics are just old and crusty and nasty looking, but this thing can be really nice again. I'm already looking forward to these forever lights. I'm thinking I might put in some blue ones, either blue or red incandescent bulbs. So I'm gonna keep the incandescent because I like the way they turn on and off slowly. And I think the blue ones would be just awesome in here. I can't wait for that. So let me show you what it does when I boot up a game. So it's got 11 credits, and it will try to boot up. So it tried to kick the ball out. It can't actually kick the ball out because, well, there's no balls in it, but it can't release that one. But you hear that clanking, clocking. There's a saucer up here, and that saucer keeps kicking. I don't know if that switch is closed or if it's just something screwed up, but so anyway, I've got lots of stuff to fix on this game. I think the way I'm intending to go through this is I've got to do these ground mods anyway, so I might as well just get them done, and maybe that will fix some of the problems, some of the weird stuff I'm having. you know, yank at this board and I can check these transistors, make sure none of them are obviously fried, clean all these connector, all the pads on here. One other thing I did is I added an extra 5 volt, which is that red wire, and the extra ground, the black one. Tim Cookie's got a good video about doing this. Really stabilizes the 5 volts in the grounds. Actually, Tim Tucky is not an advocate of putting grounds between every one of these boards and up here. PinWiki guide definitely suggests doing it, and I'm doing it. So I'm gonna start by yanking out this solenoid driver, or the driver board, and take a look at it and clean it and put a ground strap on it. So I'm going to start by doing a gentle cleaning of all these pads just with a wood or a pencil eraser. It's about the most gentle way to clean these things. It actually does a pretty decent job. These pads are actually in pretty decent shape already. I do the back side of all of them. Yeah, you can see several of these transistors have been swapped out. Of course, you can see a few of them that were sticking way up. Those suckers have been running warm. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my multimeter, and I am going to check all these transistors, make sure none of them are shorted out. Yeah, so these are not the factory part number. I can't see what it says there. Tip 102 is what it is. That's got to be way oversized for these. I guess it's working. I don't know. But because that's supposed to be those little small pre-transistors. There's another one. So there's been a bunch of them have been swapped out. Let's see what these. That's a U45, I believe is what it says on there, which is the same part number as these other ones. So that's a proper replacement, but these two are not. And this one in particular looks way out of whack because it's a way oversized for that pre-transistor. So like I said, I'm gonna start by just getting my multimeter and check all these, and there's a bunch of them, so this take a while. Okay, so I've gone through here and I've checked all these transistors, and I've identified 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These two are those ones that are sticking up above the board, and you know, they don't test bad per se. Like this one here, let me just show you here. 0.7, 0.6. That seems reasonable, but every other one on this board almost is 1.3. and 0.7. They're all like that except for this one. Well, those two are both wrong in the same way. So they may be working, they may be overly sensitive or not sensitive enough. And I've got a old junk parts board in the back, so I can easily pull the proper part to put in both of those. And so these other ones, so like this one here, again, 1.3, 0.7, 0.9, 0.7, significantly different. So when it's doing goofy stuff, I got this board out, I might as well just swap it. This one is, yeah, this one, I get the 0.7, this one I've got no continuity on the top one, so that one's bad. And then there's this one over here, this 0.7 and 0.7. That one might be one that's swapped also. No, it's just different than all the rest. So I'm gonna go get my parts board and I'm gonna swap out those 5 transistors and add a grounding strap. So I'm gonna start by removing one of these little bitty transistors. Okay, so I've got them all swapped out, so I'm going to check them here. 0.7, 1.3. I think I already checked this one. 0.3, 0.7, 1.3. I saw the 0.7 flash. 1.3, 0.7, 1.3, 0.7. I think that's all of them. So last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a grounding strap right there, get a piece of wire, and attach that back over to the power supply. So I got the driver board back in the game. Hopefully that fixed a few things, you know, because I definitely had some several that were wonky looking, and one that was absolutely not working. Didn't get the thunk. I booted up. No display lights. Do I have all my connectors on? No controlled lights. We're in a game. Or we're booted, I should say. Let's start a game. Okay, we're in a game now. That thunk, 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 that's not happening. Let's see if we can get a score point. No points. Nothing. Well, let me make sure I got everything plugged in. Absolutely I didn't. So let me plug this in and turn it on again. Okay, I'm turning it on again. I bet I get a thunk this time because that's just the way these things are. Yep. All right. Give it a second to boot. Okay, my lights are going. That's still clicking. I don't know what that's about. Need to try to start up a game. So I thought it stopped, but it's still going. So it's doing exactly like before. Let's see if we can score some points here. Flippers are not working, pop bumpers are not working, nothing's working. By the way, I have done a solenoid test, and I don't know if every solenoid's working, but I know those drop targets, they can work. They're just not working. They may not know they're down. They may have a real big switch problem. And that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Well, it's time for lunch, so I'm gonna stop for just a little bit. Little Joe does not like Black Hole. He hates System 3 Gottliebs because they have a little high-pitched, like electronic noise. I think the System 80Bs, or this is System 80. I think he's just shivering. He doesn't like it at all. And, you know, he was asleep till I started talking about Little Joe, and then he got jealous. He was asleep over there on my jacket. He gets so jealous. Little Joe just cannot stand the electronic whine. I can't hear it, but I know he can. All right, so just when I start video, Haunted House wants to talk. I've got the manual here for the Haunted House, which is pretty much the same game as this, System 80. So I'm gonna go through the switch test, which is test 18. So I'm gonna press this button here 18 times, and to get to 18. So I should be in the switch test about now. So if I press some switches, I ought to see numbers on the display. I see nothing on the display. Just for comparison here, I'll show you what this one does, and because it's working. So I'll get up to 18. Oops, passed it up. Oops, passed it up. 16, 17, 18. For whatever reason, when you're in this test, it doesn't show the one there. Okay, so it starts with 99, and you press a switch. Oh, it shows it on this one only. I was looking in the wrong place. Okay, so maybe it was working. Okay, so it shows the last switch tested, so we're still, okay, it was working. It's really not showing up on my phone very well. 41, 42, 43. Okay, I'm pressing switches and it's changing them. That's pretty cool. Press that one there, that's 51. Wait, it's just running through all of them. I think it thinks they're all closed. I'm gonna start this test over. It won't let me. I'm pressing the button and it's not going. It's like, but this is going through like, it says 63. Now went up to 70. It's blank right now. This is phasing real slowly for y'all, but it's like not doing that for me. 71. So it's got like all the switches are closed. I'm gonna reboot it and try this one more time. Okay, I just got to 18. This is, let's, one, two, so it's just going through all the switches. So it's got all of them closed basically. Like I said, I don't have the manual in front of me, but I actually need it at this point because it might help me figure out, might be like several columns or rows are lit up. Or it might be every single one of them, who knows? Let me see if I can find it on here, because they might be in the same orientation. So this is the switch matrix from Haunted House, but you can see how they're organized: 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. So all of the 0 are rows, and the second digits are the columns. So like 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1. So if I map all these out, I might find it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a little magic marker and put a dot on every one of these and see what kind of pattern I've got. It may be the whole thing. So I'm seeing a pattern developing. All the 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3 columns are lit up, and 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not. Instead of scribbling all over this schematics, I just made myself a little grid. And so 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. I mean, so column 0, 1, 2, and 3 are all closed all the time. So I'll go through the schematics here, and these schematics are going to be identical because it's the same MPU. The other thing I can do is if I get out my logic probe, I can compare this one. If I need to, I can compare this one to this one because this one's working. But probably I'll just be able to compare. Well, I'll have to dig into the schematics, but probably, hopefully, like 0, 1, 2, 3 or one chip, and 4, 5, 6, and 7 or another, or something simple like that. That would be really cool if that's what it was. I'm gonna start digging here in a second. So I found in the schematics, I needed to figure out which was strobes and returns. The columns, which is my problem, are the returns. So I got to find the returns on the schematics. So here's the schematics. Strobes are up here. The returns are here. So it very much looks like there's 2 sets of 4. I bet one of those babies is bad. That's a 7400. I got those. So I just have to figure out which one of these is which. RO, R1, R2, R3. See how these things are labeled. RO, okay, that's return 0. Okay, yeah, so R0, 2, 3. So Z13, I bet that's our bad biscuit. I don't even think I'm gonna get out the logic probe. I think I'll just swap it out. That seems like a pretty viable candidate for a bad biscuit. So C13's right there. So that's it right there. The leads are sticking up except for the very top and bottom. I get them good and flat. These boards, from what I remember, are not as robust as some of the other of this vintage anyway. Can't go wrenching on them real hard. So I yanked out that chip, and I'll put it in here in my tester. Make sure that leg got a little bent, taken out. Get it kind of straight just so I can test it. Not found. That's what I want to see, because this thing should definitely see a 7404. Should say not a 7404, a 7400. I got a bunch of these. This one's, it's in my 7400 bin. Don't have my glasses, I can't hardly read it. 7400, 74LS00. So that's like a different version of a 7400. I don't know if it's better or worse. I probably have a straight 7400. Usually I think the LSs are like not as robust. Yeah, the ones that I can see are all 74L. I think the 74LS is maybe the newer part. Maybe it's better, I don't know. I was under the impression that it was a little bit weaker. Maybe a mistake. It looks like all mine are the LS. So I'm gonna use the LS. Let me grab a socket. Okay, I got that board in there. Let's see what's gonna happen now. Might be able to start a game. I don't know. See this still doing that nonsense. We've got credits. Let's start a game, see what happens. Well, that thing shut up. It's not clicking. Let's see if we can score. Still no points. The playfield is dead. Let me check again, make sure, well, you check with me. I think I got everything plugged in. Well, let's try this. Let's go to the switch test and see if we got all the switches lit up still. Just got the switch test. 2, I think it skipped 0 and 1. 2, 12, 22, 32. I bet it's got a 42, 52, 62, 72. What do you want to bet? I didn't see if there was, oh, let me do that one more time. I wasn't really super paying attention because I thought it was going to be all of them, but it wasn't. It was just 3 of them. Or maybe 4. So I'm going to go through it one more time here. Ah, shoot, 7, 18, there we go. Okay, 02, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2. Well, we're making progress. I'm pressing some of these switches now. So, we're still not seeing anything. 02, 1, 2, 3, 2. I can't see exactly what those switches are because I don't have I don't have the actual schematics for this game. So I found a version of schematics online, and those 4 that were lit up, 00 or 02, 12, 22, and 32, are those 4 drop targets. When I raised them up, they went away. So those switches are working. I went around and I don't know if I hit every other switch in the playfield, but I hit most of them. They weren't. So my plan is to get the logic probe and start probing around the board and see if we got the strobes and got the returns, if they're making any noise. Okay, so I'm going to start by just going through all the chips here. I'm going to look at the strobes in Z11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I should have a good strobe on each of these. 2, that's good. 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, that's good. And then on Z12, 2 and 4. Okay, looks like all my strobes, at least up to that point, are good. So it's still maybe my returns. Okay, so I'm not sure what the best place to check these are. I guess we could put the output of them, because they're coming like this way, in that direction. So Z13, 3, 6, 8, and 11. Three, 6, that's not good. That's just low. Turn around so you can see it. 8, 9, 10, 11. So 6 is funny there. So that one is just locked low, no activity. And on this one, 3, 6, 8, 11 also. And that's, yeah, Z14. Three, 6, 8, and 11. So this one looked good. This one still has the one 6 is just locked on. So 6 is fed by 4 and 5, and that should be comparable to, or it's like, yeah, 4 and 5 should be similar to 1 and 2. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do 1 and 2 first. So 2 is just locked on high, and 1 is strobing. So 4 and 5 are both locked on strobing. So maybe I'm a little confused. So I did quite a bit of digging with the logic probe, and I'm seeing signals on all these except for I guess number 6 here. I've never seen a signal there for whatever reason, but still I should be seeing some of this stuff in the game. And even and I'm not. The only thing nothing on the top of the playfield, none of the switches work except for Hole. And all of those come in on return 2. So that PA2, that signal works. None of the others do, as far as I can tell. I didn't pick up the bottom, look at the switches in the bottom playfield. So I am thinking quite possibly it's this next chip upstream, which is a Riot chip, which is basically a PIA, peripheral interface adapter. And I happen to have a few of these, some pulls. So it's a big chip. That's so which number? U4 that's U3, that's U2, that's U3. So it's this one here, right there. It's that one there. So I may swap that chip. I've pulled those before on System 80s, some 80Bs, I think it was. I believe it was. So I know that these 7400s and 7404s, they're real prone to blowing on this game. But I've swapped some of these before. It fixed the problem. So I'm going to, given the number of switch problems I'm having, really nothing works in game at all. Even when I'm in a game, if I press one of those down, it doesn't score it. So I can see it in the switch test, but it's not. So that's what I'm going to do next. I pulled out my little baggy System 80 Riot. I got two of them in here. The first one says, I don't know if you read that, it says bad. Well, I've got one more. And this was in the game. So I'll put a socket in there, see if it changes our situation. Okay, I've got that new used Riot chip in there. I'll crank this dude up. Let's see what it tells us. May just go straight to the switch test. Okay. 18. Oops, skipped it. There we go. Okay, we're in 18. We get, 72, that's a new one. We didn't have 72 before, ever. I don't know what 72 is, but it's new. I'm pressing a couple of these. Pressing all four of them. Oh, we got those are down. So that's the only switch we had, 72. See if these still work. Yeah, 32. 02. It's going to go through. No, I just did the last one. That switch is not working. We're still. I'm hitting all these switches. We still got. The only thing we've ever seen is the 12 column, but we did get a 72 this time, which is a little different. Let's check this again. Oh, I don't have it plugged in. I just ain't got with those gas. Ain't got no gas one of the moments. Carl would have figured this out a long time ago. I don't know if you can see in there, but about half the pins are broken off. I mean, just gone. They're kind of sticking out the end here, but yeah. And this is for the switch matrix. So yeah, half the going and coming is all busted up and broke off. So that's probably our problem. Definitely the first place to start. So yeah, gotta get this thing fixed. So I just finished up repinning that connector. Check this one right next to it. I guess somebody's repinned it. I don't know. This it looks good because I've had that one off and looked at it. So I'm guessing this is not the original board that was in this game. There's much corrosion that's right underneath the battery. I'm guessing the original board probably got roached from battery corrosion. This is a second, somebody else's. This was a replacement board. They replaced the board, didn't replace this connector, these pins. This one they did replace, or the corrosion never got over here, but they look brand new. So I think someone did repin this one. So anyway, I'm gonna go back into the test. If I get up to 18. And I'm really hoping we get a little bit more action here. 15, okay, well that's a different switch. 15 and 17. 72 we had before. So I looked up 72. 72 is like a 10-point switch on the lower playfield. It's like one of those. So I got 34. I just hit that. That's cool. So we've got some more switches. Let me hit this one. 31, 21, 11, 1. So those are working now. How about this one right here? 35. Yeah, we got switches. How about the rollovers up here? Is that 0, 0 maybe? Yeah, 1, 0, and 2, 0. So those are working. So we've got Gosh, everyone I've tried so far. How about the spinner? 16? I think we got our switches working. Well, that's pretty cool. At least most of them that I can just reach really easy. Okay, we didn't have these before. Let's see. 3, 13, 23, 4. Last 04 and 14. Okay. So I just did those drop targets. So let's see if we still got these over here. These are like, yeah, 32. 22 didn't make. There's 22. Just didn't get to it. It's just very slow. 02. So it did all those 4 there. So I think everything on the top of the playfield we got switches for. That's cool. So swapping out that chip is probably a waste of time. This chip, though, I believe that one was actually bad because we actually fixed a few things when we did that, and I pulled that chip out and I tested it, and it was an unknown chip. So we might be able to start a game at this point. Okay, so it got it timed out of the test. We've got credits. We've got 5 credits. Might need balls to start a game. I don't know. It might be smart enough. Oh, there's one there. Let's. I'm just gonna hit start and. Oh, it did that. Okay, so let me get another ball in here. I think this is it. And it can't do that. We don't know if it wants to or not. It needs another ball. Let me get another ball. Another ball. We're going to do it like that. Okay. And see if we can score some points. Well, first off, it didn't reset the drop target, so that's not good. I know it can do that. I can put it in the test and I can make it reset them. But it's not resetting them now. And we're not scoring any points. Why come? Are we not in a game? We should be in a game with the zeros like that. For fun, I started up Haunted House, ball and shooter lane. It's blinking 0. It's ready to start taking scores. But this one, blinking 0, it's not ready to start taking scores. It's not something. Not even taking a tilt. Really strange. So I can see the switches in the test, but it's like acting like it doesn't see them during the gameplay. That's very strange to me. We got at least 2 blown fuses there, no continuity, and those superficially all had continuity. So I'm going to pull all these, make sure all of the right size, and then we'll see where we're at. So nearly every one of those was wrong. There was one that was correct, and most of those were wrong also. And at least 2 of those were dead. None of these were dead, but man, there was a 10 amp and a 15 amp slow blow that both, and well, they were wrong first off. I guess they were fast blows and they were really brown, so probably because they were supposed to be slow blow. They were still intact, but they were not looking good. By the way, Pinball Rebels website, I usually go to him for like getting these little cards. He's got all the cards, but he's also got these little data sheets. Like on this one, it's got all the fuses. It's got all the solenoids listed, especially for games where they don't have the, you can't get the schematics online, but you can get like a lot of information real quick, all the drivers. So anyway, that's done. I think I will turn this game on and maybe is leave the playfield up and see if we see a flash of light from either that fuse bank or that fuse bank. So keep an eye. You look at this one, I'm gonna look at the one on the playfield. Nothing on the playfield blew. Did anything blow down here? I don't see anything that's obviously blown. And I don't see anything here that's obviously blown. So let me lay the playfield down, see if we can have any more success in trying to start a game. We still have this issue where this thing's clicking back and forth, and it's related to a relay. The relay's kicking. Maybe it's on this bottom playfield down here. I'm not sure. But I don't think that's supposed to be going back and forth during the track mode, the little gate. I think that's a problem of some sort. That's some ugly looking soldering right there. And just looking for something obvious, like some kind of mixed match between the light and the, I don't know. All this fruit stripe, pinstriping on the wires. It all looks just like white with bright colors. Anyway, I'm gonna start the game up, see where we're at. So I got it queued up. I got another game running here. And it's scoring when I press switches. The flippers are still not working. Pop bumpers are still not working. The drop targets are working. Drop targets are the only solenoids that I can see that are working. So I'm gonna see if I've got voltage to the flippers and the pop bumpers and see if there's something, I don't know, see what's coming about them. So I had the game on, measure some voltage, and I do have voltage for the drop targets, which obviously, because they were working, but nothing else. I mean, I also must have some voltage for the one that kicks the ball, the top, but everything else that I measured, I didn't measure every single one, but I measured most of them, and I didn't have voltage to them. So, well, I found in the schematics here, the flippers and the pop bumpers around here somewhere. There's pop bumpers. Nope, those are flippers again. I thought the pop bumpers were on here. Anyway, a lot of this is controlled by some of those mechanical relays, like EM relays. I don't know why they used them in the latest System 80, but they did. So they're either not opening or closing, or when they're closing, they're just dirty and need to be cleaned. Something along those lines, be my guess. Yeah, there's the pop bumpers right down there. Are they on the same? So they're on the switched 38 volt. So it's got to go through T and Q right there. So basically everything's got to go through T and Q. And it should be present at A12 P8 pin 5. I should have 38 volts. It goes through T, goes through Q, and the tilt is like normally closed unless it's tilted. It's not tilted because it's scoring points. But that switch, that individual switch may not be, it even may be closed, but it's just not passing any current. It may be dirty. And then Q, I don't know what Q stands for, but anyway, it's got to also close to enable all these things to work. So it's about dinner time, so I think I'm going to call it a day, and maybe well, not maybe, for sure, I'm going to look at this tomorrow. So I came in a little motivated this morning. I got the original power supply up and running, so that's good. And I spent some time reading the manual last night, and I am going to start by fiddling with the tilt relay. I mean, I believe it's one of the relays on this game, and most suspicious one to me looks like the tilt. So let me get the playfield up and we'll take a look at it. So here are these three relays. The T is the tilt. The Q, I think that's the Q. y'all can't see it, but I can see it. It's a Q, and I think the Q is like quit for the hold. I believe that's right. And this is the U. I don't remember what U stands for. They use the same nomenclature from their EM days. If I went back and got an EM manual, didn't see in the manual what the U actually stands for. But anyway, first thing I want to see is if this thing turns on or doesn't turn on. There's one make or break in the back of there, and all the rest of them are normally open. So we turn it on. Whoa, we have sounds. Well, that's really cool, and that's really interesting because we didn't have sounds with the other board. Why is that? That doesn't make any sense to me at all, because the power for the sounds comes from the auxiliary, the soundboard power supply. So me fixing the other power supply shouldn't have done anything, but apparently it has. I don't know. So I don't think I can really start a game because I don't have the balls in there. I'm gonna press start anyway. I don't know if I'll get credits. Let me put some credits on here. I can't see what's going on. I'm gonna put the playfield down so I can see what's going on. Okay, we'll turn it on again. I don't know if it's supposed to make a heartbeat sound. Well, it's not booted, but it is making sounds. Maybe I don't even have it plugged in. Well, I did have 5 volts, but now I don't have 5 volts. So, I got an incoming call I gotta answer. So I got my 5 volts back. I just temporarily, anyway, I jumpered between, I'll get rid of it, that pin there and that side of that resistor. There's a trace on the back of the board. The problem is, let me turn the game off. When I reinserted this board on the top there, and I have got a video on the haunted house showing this. You got to push these two plates together because it comes from the back and screwed on. It's kind of a pain to get these in there. Anyway, once I got it in there, the solder didn't want to suck down through that via to the trace on the other side. There's no way to solder it directly on the other side. This one made good contact, but this one didn't, and you can kind of even tell by looking at it. So the solution is either to unmount this and maybe heat it up and kind of wiggle the board and try to get it to soak down through there, or just put a jumper between that point right there and that point there, like I did with these jumpers here, but solder a jumper in. I think I'm just going to solder a jumper in right there from there to there, and basically duplicating that trace on the back of the board. And it's not exactly ideal, but I don't know how else to solve the issue, because it's not. I already. That's how I fixed it this morning, was flowing that solder, and I guess I got it, but just barely. And I completely pulled all the solder out, put fresh solder in there, and it was just enough to barely make contact, I guess. And then once the game started off, it must have just had a tiny little contact, and it was too much current through that little tiny contact and cut it open. So I'm gonna put a jumper right across there. All right, so I put a jumper from there to there, get that 5 volts solid. It's booted up again, and now it's not making sound. So this soundboard is its own PC, if you want to say. It's its own little computer. And in the absence, I need to get that ground attached. These are the ground wires. I haven't got them hooked up to the power supply. But in the absence of signals from the MPU, it makes some random background sounds, which tells me it may be working. It's just not getting signals from here, from the MPU. So the MPU is not talking to it, or You know, maybe maybe start digging at connectors, and I don't know. So the soundboard power supply is clearly working. It's getting power. So I'm guessing it's a MPU problem and or communication problem is the issue with the sound. But for the moment, I want to get back to getting this thing to play, getting the solenoids to work. I really, before I do anything, I need to do something with these, because I don't want these ground to touch, I don't know, say 40 volts or something, and back feed into one of these ground circuits and blow board. So I need to get these things wired up instead of just floating around here, these ground leads. Let me get them tidied up. Okay, I've got it in a game, and it's scoring points when I hit the switches. No flippers, no pop bumpers. So I'm gonna take the balls out so they don't go flying. And then I'm gonna pick the Playfield up and monkey around with the tilt relay. So I played around with these. I don't think it's a Q relay. So I'm gonna hold the flipper here. This, I don't think it's a T relay. This is the Q relay right here. Those are the flippers going. Probably, where's the pop bumper? I'll hold the pop bumper switch. Didn't help with the pop bumper. I did that one. So maybe that one's got another issue, but probably did dirty. Or maybe more. But anyway. Yeah. So the Q relay is not engaging for whatever reason. Just see if the wires are attached. They are. Coil's not visibly burnt. I guess I'll start just real quick. I'll measure for conductivity through the coil. You know, sometimes the wire within the coil will break free, and I love it when that's the case, but it's usually not the case. So I'm just putting on horseshoe mode, looking for like, okay, wait, 62. That may be the case, 62 kilo ohms. It should be like, for like a flipper coil, maybe as low as 2 or something, 2 or 3, up to like 10 or 20 or 30, but kilo ohms is definitely bad. So the coil doesn't look bad. It's probably broken. I don't see that it's broken, but it is. So I'm gonna take it off. Probably I'll just take a wire off of it and fix this. So let me get it out of there real quick. So one side's got the band of the diode, and that's, as typical, that is the double. It's got 2 wires on it because that's the daisy chain ones, and that's the hot side. So we can remember that. I'm going to remove these wires so I can get this thing out of here a little easier, and drip solder all over the place. I think somebody has run these wires through the hole in the lugs, which makes it a real pain to get off. Nope, they did not. Okay. That one's free. That one's free. Now just one little screw and I've got it out of here. You set your soldering iron up there, that's when you get dropped on your head. It's like I need a flat head. I'll take it to the bench where I can see it a little bit better. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure the conductivity again, just so y'all can see exactly. Wow, so see there's 0. I was getting a little bit, I was getting like 60 kilo ohms in the game, but that was because there was other back feeding. But right here, there's 0. If I go the other way, I'll probably get a little bit because there'll be a little bit of continuity going through the diode. Yep. 9, because it can go that way, but it can't go the other way. So these little red wires, that's the coil wire. One of them is probably broken free. That one, I can see it going up in there. This one, it looks like it's attached, but I can't really confirm that it's going over the top of there. I think, yeah, I think this is the free end. So let me, with any luck, we can just not break it. Ugh! Let me get this wrapper off of it. Okay, so I'm going to solder this wire here to the end of that coil wire, and it's insulated. It's got that red insulation, but the insulation on there is ablative, so if it gets hot, you will cook that insulation off of there. I learned that from Steve Young at the Pinball Resource, and if he says it's so, then it is so. That's how he makes the coils. He probably made this coil. Well, no, because this would have made my Gottlieb. He makes all the replacement coils for them. I need a little stress relief. I'm gonna put a little slack, and then I'm gonna tape this thing up. And I'm gonna tape the other end of this. So I'm gonna tape it real quick before I rip it. We got it taped up. I got it wrapped around there. Throw a little solder on there real quick. I think it was A16890. I believe that's right. A16890. I guess I should see if we fixed anything here real quick. $234. Okay, that's a lot, but this is a holding circuit, so it's going to be on the whole entire time. So that's reasonable. Okay, so let's throw this back in the game and see if we can play. We may be able to play a game short of the sounds. We'll worry about this stuff later. One problem at a time. Okay, we're in a game. We're scoring. Let's see if the flippers work. Oh, we're flipping. Okay. Oh, we got poppage. And we're in ball 2, so it's moving around. We're making progress, dude. Yes, we're making progress. Wow, this thing's super steep. It's like Jason Wilson been playing this game. We all know Jason Wilson. Oh my gosh, he likes them steep. I will say it's great for the tournaments. Gets the games over quick, which I like. Oh, geez. Okay, so major problems left. We got the display issues. We got this that's missing, and the sound, and we still got to finish the grounds up. So I think I'll put a coil in here, start with, and then we'll move. Instead of trying to dig through schematics, I just went to Pinball Rebel's website, and he's got all these tables set up for these games. And so for the ball gate, I think that's one we're missing, and we can confirm that because it's gonna, if it's correct, it's gonna have a red, 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 and green, yellow, yellow. And if that is, then the coil is a A16570. So I'm gonna go see if it's red, 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 and green, yellow, yellow. Well, none of these colors exactly match what I saw in the game, but I think it's this ball release gate. Although that might be the gate that was popping earlier, I'm not sure. It could be that ball gate. I don't know if it's called a ball gate or anyway, but I'm almost positive it's a 16570. All the ones that were potentials, it's 16570, and there was a 16570 in the kit or the box of parts that came with this, so I'm gonna put it in here. I am gonna have to figure out which one of these wires go to which side, but I'll figure out which one's the hot one, and I'll put the hot one on the banded side of the diode. So I just gotta take off a couple screws. They're already loose, so that'll make that easy. So the Pinball Rebel colors, I couldn't figure it out. So I did find the ball gate holder 188, which is brown slate. And on the other side is 233, which is red, orange, orange. That's what I've got. So the red, orange, orange is on the banded side. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's tackle, so we got, I guess, 3 issues, or just really 2, because those are probably the same, that X and that X. And then that one's probably on that board, and these 2 are very likely on the MPU. Although I had a similar issue on this game where I had 2 of them that were like that, and it turned out if I unplugged one of the displays, it fixed the other one, and it was like this display had the problem, and it carried over to the other one. So the first thing I'm gonna do is turn off the game, and let's just say I'll just unplug this one and go through the display test and see if it exists. Then if it does, then I'll do the opposite. So see that both of these have problems by themselves. Okay, I just booted it up and that one does, so I'm gonna swap this. I'm gonna unplug this one and plug in this one. Okay, do it one more time here. Same. So that speaks to the issue being on the board. And I'll show you here if I go through the test. If I go to number 18, there's 18. So it's going to do the display test. Actually, hold on. 19 is the display test. So let me go one more. Okay, now we're at 19. So they're running through those, they're running through these, and they go through these. That one's dead all the time. That one's completely dead. I didn't notice that before. But sure enough, it's completely dead. That's very likely dead glass. I don't think I've got one of those laying around. In fact, I know I don't. Shoot. Well, let's see if it's plugged in. So I unplugged and plugged this in, the connector, and it is working now. And it's got the same as that, and it's running with those 2. I was almost, I know in this game that this one and the credit one are tied together, but apparently on this game, on Black Hole, it's with 1 and 3, and but it's got the same issue. So again, that's the trifecta. That's a board issue. So let's get out the schematics and see what drives the tens digit for one and what normally just be 1 and 3, but apparently it's 1, 3 and bonus on this game. So here's the schematics for the displays. The top part is the segments, and like on the haunted house anyway. So these top 2 chips, they do 1 and 3, player 1 and 3. This does player 2 and 4, and this would do the match and the bonus. Apparently, on haunted house, this one only does the match, and the digits or strobes are down here, and they're not Well, I don't know, because see, this one, they're just labeled 1 through 16. So I'm just going to go through and see if all these are strobing. So they should all be strobing. So there's 3 7404s, so easy enough to swap one of them out if I find the dead one. And yeah, so I'm going to just check them all real quick. So the first chip is Z17 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Here's Z17 4. There's 6. That one's dead. 4, 6, 8 was 8, 10, 12. Yeah. 10, 12, 4, 6, 8. So number 6 there. So that's probably it right there. Got lucky. Let's just check the rest of them just for fun. What's the next one? Z24, 2, 4, 6. So all the evens. Z24. 22, 24. The last one's the power, so okay. And Z26, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Z26, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Okay, so it's Z17. So I'm gonna yank that sucker and put in a new one. This is why, yeah, some of y'all probably like, why didn't you do that? Well, because I knew I was gonna pull these boards out 15 more times. So it's just a pain to unscrew them. So really should, but you know, I'm lazy. So that's the chip we want to swap out. And look at this. Somebody's already swapped it out before. They didn't put in a socket. Why didn't you do that, dude? You're screwing me over. I hope you didn't do any more damage to the traces that I'm going to do. Because there's only so many times you can take those things in and out. Ugh. You're killing me, man. You're killing me. So the chip came out pretty easy. Probably ought to go easy on the guy that did this. He probably did it on the bar stool, the cigarette hanging out his mouth back in 1987. So, you know, give him a break. Not found. That's what I want to see. It doesn't recognize it as a 7404. So I'm going to get a socket because I'm not sitting on a bar stool. And I've got my sockets right here. So in case this thing blows again, it'll be easy for the next guy, which very likely could be me. All right, got that in there. Hopefully that will take care of it. I'm about 87.3% sure that's gonna fix it. Okay, so we got those digits back, so I can just get rid of that dry erase marker real easy. Still got this one here. So that one, because it's not on both of those, means it's probably on that display. And it's probably the driver chip. I don't know which one of these, but I'm gonna pull that board off there, take it to the bench, look at the schematics, and try swapping one of these. You know, maybe one thing I'll do is before I do anything, I'm gonna just take this off and put it back on again. Oh, you see that? I just figured out my problem. It's a bad connection right there. I was just saying I ought to at least take this off and put it back on again. Now so it's a dirty connector. I'm gonna clean these contacts here with a pencil eraser. I'm also gonna put a little amazing goop behind this display and glue it down. I should have just got a utensil to just put this in there. Well, that gives me the memories of doing testers models when I was a little kid. It has the same solvent, I'm sure. It has the exact same smell. I need something to jam down there that I don't care about losing. I don't want to use my 37-cent poker. I'll use this one because this one I don't care about. Let's spread down a little bit lower. And weight that down with something for about 10 minutes. All that stuff takes to dry, which is why I like this. Is Clay Harrell suggests using this for inserts because it's pretty strong but not completely permanent, and it's fast. So all my displays are drying. I grabbed this soundboard from a haunted house here. I know it works. I'm gonna boot this game up with this in here and see what happens. Okay, we're booted. Let me start a game. Whoa! Okay, so for sure, that board doesn't work. Everything else is working. That's working, the connections are working, so we got a problem with that board. So the good news is I've got this. I guess I could have just plugged this in there. I've got this aftermarket. It's a kind of a homebrew board, and it's got, I don't know what kind of, all kinds of sounds. I plugged this one into this game, and it sounded like black hole-y kind of sounds. It was like space sounds, like a whispering sound. So maybe I try sticking this in here, see what happens. Now, I guess I could dig into this, try to fix it, but I was kind of wanting to use this anyway. I don't know what all kinds of sounds are programmed on this SD card, but you can put whatever you want. Let me boot it up with this on. Okay, so I got this development board. I saw one blink. SD error. It just blinked once when it first came on. Okay, let me boot it up. That's very reminiscent about the way this game is supposed to sound. Maybe it's just a duplication. I think that's just kind of the normal. That may just be, they may have just completely duplicated it. I thought it was going to be like new and improved. But, well, that's cool. So I have an option. Yeah, that looks like a lot. I don't know if I want to dig into that or not. It might be something really simple. It might not. I think I'll just use this. What I think. That really, geez, at this point, I think I've got all the major systems working. You could probably play a game with sound. As soon as those dry, we could even see what our scores are. Don't have any rubbers on our flippers. Don't have any rubbers over the slingshots. I don't know if it'll kick the ball back up at the bottom or not. But we still, oh yeah. I've still got to do some of these ground. Oh, that was, yeah. That ground is hanging. I gotta get these grounds tidied up. I'm a bad boy. That is stupid. Y'all can tell me. Say you're an idiot, Diner. I got to do something with this. I don't know if I showed you this before. So this whole thing, I don't know what way it's supposed to be, but I'm positive that broken cap is not supposed to be a broken cap. I don't know what size that's supposed to be, but probably supposed to be a cap there. Motor runs okay. It's a little noisy. I think that's, I think I've got a replacement motor over there, but you know, if it's working, it's working. If this is in a bar, that amount of noise, you're not even gonna hear that. So I really just need to do the grounds and get busy on that. Don't have that many more. I've got this one grounded, that one grounded. Actually, just the soundboard is the only one left undid ground, and then I ground this all the way to the bottom. And that's, so there's really not that much more to do. I need to just do. So I've been working on grounds. I've got all these boards grounded up to here. I've got this wire here, which is at the moment just stuff down here, but it's going to go run back here to the grounding strap down there and be soldered in down there. I took this auxiliary lamp board off, just reflowed the solder, changed the little 5-volt filter cap. Haven't done anything with this yet. I'm going to, but for now I'm going to get this grounded real quick. Look what I found at the bottom of the cabinet. That would have plugged right into that one. So anyway, a little too late. So I've got to get this out of here so I can grab that mess of blue wires and run, because I can't reach underneath there. I gotta get these out. These are, I think they're metric or something. They're not the right size. They're just kind of halfway threaded in there. I'm gonna need all my fingers for this. So I scraped with a file here, scraped that clean. And I'm gonna try to solder right there at the tip. The last one I soldered in the middle, and it was all I could do to get it to solder. It's such a big plate, it just, and it's, I guess it's probably brass, but it just sucks the heat off. But put it in the corner, it's only got 25% of the radius where the heat can expand from, versus 360 degrees. It's only got 9 degrees of the arc, so it'll make it a little bit easier. I got my iron cranked up to 480C as high as it goes, and I'm gonna get this wire stripped back and give myself plenty of slack and get that sucker soldered down. So that is soldered securely. I think next what I'll try to do is figure out the tiny little cap on the back of the motor, see if I can find that in the schematics. I had the Playfield up and I noticed I'm missing one of the pop bumper drivers. There was this in the box of spare parts. So probably this is broken some way or another. I don't know. Oh, that's been worked on. Redone some traces. So suspicious. And the other thing is on these pop bumpers drivers, there's an upgrade it's a factory upgrade that came out, I don't know, probably within months or years of this game coming out. This board was made wrong. I forget, it's one of these diodes gets reversed, and you put in one of them, you put in a staple instead of a diode or something, or a cap. You get rid of the cap and reverse a diode, some nonsense like that. You can tell if it's been done because either that one or like that one is replaced with a staple, just a metal jumper, I should say. And none of these have been updated. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on this one, and there's 2 more down. I just looked there. Those 2 pop bumper driver boards are down there. The game will work with the original ones. I mean, this one's obviously been played a long time without the upgrade, but I don't know what the issue is. They're not as strong, or they cause voltage spikes or something, but they ought to be updated, and I think I will. So I've got that. I'm tempted, I'm gonna set this aside, to maybe try to start a game. I still have my out hole ball release unsoldered up there. I want to see if I can get this thing to reliably start a game and kick the ball out, because I have not been able to get it to do that yet. Made a little progress. So I restarted this back in because I was like, I got to figure out why this is not going. And in the process, I realized it was pretty sticky. So I cleaned that pivot point there and that pivot point there, cleaned them up a little bit. And this was actually working. I think it was trying to energize it, just was too stiff to move. So I have gone through this, and I think this is still tripping out. I don't know what's up with that. I don't think that's right. Anyway, I think everything on the playfield, upper playfield, works, with the exception of one of the pop bumpers, which makes sense because one of the pop bumper drivers is going. So I'm going to start a game here. And we don't have the crazy sounds. I think maybe that was like that call out was for a given switch. And so anyway, but if we go through here, that switch is working. Yeah, it is. It's just not working very well. That pop bumper's not working. I think maybe that gate's did. Yep. So, and let's see if E. G-force accelerated. That's, well, let's check out this hole. Okay, so that's everything with the exception of that one pop bumper. I may try to get that pop bumper working, and then we can work on the floor Playfield. But it is 12:15 and I'm ready to get some grub. I'm gonna head to the taco truck. So I found on the schematics that motor, and so they do show a couple of caps, but this is inside the, I believe it says motor shield. I think that means the case of the motor, I believe. Or maybe, I believe that is. In any case, I don't know. So you've got these two black things that are, I'm not sure what they are. Somebody spent some time to install them in line. I think they are these two, I forget what these things are called. They're little coils. I'm not exactly sure what they do, but for certain motors, I know they like having them. I'm guessing, well, that's, I'm not for sure what this motor shield is referencing, because that shows the motor there. I don't, maybe that's that outside, I don't know. In any case, well, I can't tell if that's supposed to be, if those dashed lines are connected to 1 and 2. It's not real obvious. In this case, they are connected to 1 and 2, the way these are done. And then they've got a cap. So if that's the way it looks like this has been done. And they've got that cap there. So they've got that cap here instead of these two common ones, two to a common source. They've got one across here. I think that's what somebody's done here, I believe. This is so much nonsense, and you know, this thing's long enough to get down here and touch some other stuff. And I don't really see the value much of even having a connector on this thing. I would rather just have all this just soldered right on the back of the motor. And it's not like you really need a quick disconnect. And if, I don't know, if you really need it quick, just snip it. And you can resolder it later. There's plenty of wire. So I am going to, I think I'm just going to get rid of this connector and this. I'm going to put these components back on there. I'm going to put a little small capacitor across here, and I'm just going to put these. So I'm going to take the little black things, whatever they are, to each lead here. I'm going to put a cap across. I'm going to put the wires on to each also. So it's working now, and so I'm going to kind of keep it the way it is, but add that cap back. So it'd be like a 0.02 microfarad, because it's, you got one on each side and we got one across. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so that's what I did. I got rid of all the jankiness. I don't know if it'll work or not. We're going to find out here real quick. Wow, it's about half as loud as it was. Seriously. Still making some noise, but it's not making as much. Maybe it likes having the happy little cap in there. Oh, geez, about fell down. So I went out to lunch, got some tacos, and I was thinking about the lower playfield. Nothing's apparently really working. I wonder if one of those relays activates the power of the lower playfield. So I was thinking I need to go through schematics and see if maybe one of the relays does that. Okay, I found the lower playfield. Looks like the 24 volts comes in on 12-pin connector A9J8, and the ground comes off on a 15-pin A9P8. So I've got the game booted up, and it's in a game. Let's pick these balls up out of here so I can pick the playfield up without them dropping everywhere. And then I'm going to see about trying to see if anything's active down there. I don't see any relay per se to activate it. I think it must be something, otherwise the flippers would go all the time. I need to look a little harder. Yeah, because I don't see the flippers. Maybe the flippers activate all the... I need to find the flippers. Well, once I lift up the playfield, I didn't find anything in the schematics yet, but if I hold on the flipper and now I press this, I couldn't really see. Every time I hit that, it was doing the lower flippers. So this is, like I suspected, is activating the lower flippers. I can't see. That's L. Lower. That makes sense. Okay. And I haven't checked these fuses either. So there's at least six fuses down here. So I'm going to turn the game off and check these fuses, because at a minimum, I bet some of them are wrong. Good news, bad news. Out of those six, I think 3 were blown, and of the other 3, 2 of them were the wrong size. So hopefully those 3 blown fuses will get the power going. Bad news is they probably blew for a reason. Good news, I fixed a bunch of stuff on the driver board, so maybe I've already fixed the problem. So now we gotta... Yeah, maybe I can just reach up there. I can't get the game booted unless I get the balls up there. And so it's like, to get the game started is I got to lower everything down, or maybe I'll just climb up here and press the switches with my fingers. Okay, so I got the game up and booted. And looks like there's a little... like that pop bumper switch is sticking on me, or something's switching that switch. Let me try to get a ball, go through here. How about this right here? It tried to let another ball out up there. I heard it. Okay. I captured a ball. I haven't got the flipper to get active down here. It may be I've got to roll across. I think there's a switch or something, maybe. I've got a couple balls in here stuck. I don't see a switch. I don't know how these turn on. Well, I know it's that relay, but I don't know how the relay knows. Now that I've got power, it's liable to be working, and I just don't know it. Oh, it's holding that ball. Well, let's see what happens when we drain. See if it comes shooting out of this hole here. I don't think there's enough pitch for that ball to go down. I can't get it. Re-entry accomplished. That's what I was saying earlier, 3 and 3. So we had a ball in that switch. So I need to get that ball out of there. It's out. So I don't think that was working. I'm not sure. So you might need to check that switch. We still got to figure out why the flippers are not working down here. So we're getting progress. I'm tempted to put the playfield down and actually go through this trough. I didn't see an actual switch anywhere on here. I do have 2 balls. Oh, and there's a piece. Oh, geez. There's a post stuck in there. Well, that's probably part of the problem. Can y'all see that post stuck in there? You see that clear post? Well, that's going to be a problem. So I got to figure out how to get that out of there. I'm going to have to take that off. I got that little buddy out of there. I wonder how long he's been in there. He was written hard and put away wet. Jeez. Well, that explains why. I was dropping balls in there and they weren't coming out. So, but at least one did, but the other 2 didn't. So I don't know. I'm gonna drop the playfield, see what happens with the flippers. Maybe there's a switch that I'm just not seeing, and I don't really care if I can see it as long as it works. Okay, I got it booted up. We're in a game. I'm gonna throw it down to the lower playfield. Oh, it is working. Yeah, so somehow it knows that we've gone down there. By the way, somebody has... Oh, I got 2 balls down there. Oh, I had that ball locked from earlier. Still got the issue of it's not... Well, for one, there's not very much steepness to this going back. Those balls are not rolling back and hitting that switch, and or that little gate is not opening up when it does hit the switch. So you pick up the playfield, go through a switch test, and see if that switch in the back is switching. So I'm in the switch test. The switch test is hard to use because that's the display you have to look at there, and then you gotta, so it's, right now it says 70, so I'm gonna hit this switch here, right there. Okay, I hit it. It says 53. So I think that's good. Hit another switch. That says 34. Let me hit this one again, see if it says 53 again. 53. Okay, so it knows it's there. So let me go through the solenoid test and see if that one's also pretty creaky. It's all this metal on metal. That whole thing there is metal on metal. Just a lot of rubbing. Let me do the solenoid test. I think it's number 16. So the other thing, you can't see what test you're at. So I think I'm at 18. So let me press 19, 20, 16. That should be it. No, 16 I think is the lamps. It's number 17 is solenoids. One more. So that should be 17. That should be the solenoids. It should start up here in a second. So that's a new coil somebody's put on there. I'm going to do it one more time. So 18, 19, 20, 16, 17. I'm going to hold it like halfway. Oh, we timed out. Yeah, it's really hard to... Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Or 15, okay. 16, 17. That should do it. I'm gonna hold it halfway in just in case it's trying. It never tried. That one never tried either. Both those have been replaced. So when you go through the solenoid test, what's weird about it, if you look at the numbers, it doesn't skip numbers. Like, I'm not even sure the solenoid test tries those, because that's what I saw earlier when I was doing it. That, like it didn't do that one. That one never came back up, but I'm pretty sure that came up during the gameplay. So I think the solenoid test is like kind of half-assed. It doesn't. I don't think it tries all the solenoids. And we still have this thing clicking. It goes with that light. I don't know if that's... Which one of these relays is clicking? Is it the one underneath here? I can't tell where it's at. Sounds like it's underneath here. Yep, it's that one right there. So for whatever reason, that is energizing the B. I don't know if that's a normal thing or not. It doesn't seem very normal to me. It seems abnormal. So let's focus on one thing. Let's get, so that switch is working. Let's figure out if we can get this to work and that to work. I don't know what those are called, but we'll figure it out. So I figured I would check these fuses because they had blown before, and I just replaced them all. And sure enough, F19, this one I just put in, is blown. So, given somebody just recently wired these up, there's a fair chance one of them might be wired up backwards, and that will blow it. Unfortunately, it's liable to have blown the transistor on the driver board also. So I need to get the wire colors and make sure that these are not wired in there backwards. When I say backwards, the positive side needs to be to the banded side of the diode. And if it's not, the current goes right through the diode and it's basically a dead short. And it will blow the fuse and very likely fry the transistor on the driver board also. So that's my guess. Let me look at see if there's any other brand new coils. It looks like they've been soldered on recently, because that would be, those have been messed with. But that's not super new. Don't think so anyway. Whenever I see soldering like that where it's stuck through, that's a poor joint. It's much better to lay it on the surface like that. You get a lot more surface area, and that is a solid one. This one, they'll break. You don't see factory solders that look like that. You just don't. It's not the way it's done. They come in parallel. You don't need to go through the hole. It's better if you don't. Just lay it up there on top. So that's a different color than all the rest. These are all new also, but actually they're not. They're just different colors. That's looks like factory solder there, or at least it's very old. Anyway, the two I really suspect are these two here. So I'm gonna find those in the schematics and check the colors and make sure. Look at that one there, how hot that's gotten, that lead. I'm betting that's my bad biscuit. So I think that's my ball lift kicker. And I don't have these numbers memorized. So it's a 255 and a 344. So the 344 is on the banded side. I gotta find oh, there's a color code right below it. 344 is orange, green, green. So orange, green, green is on the banded side. Well, I gotta get where I can see the other side of this without crushing something. Is that orange? That's red, green, green right there. This one is orange, just orange and white, unless there's some green mixed in there. That looks like red, green, green. And that one just looks like, is that a hint of green? I think that's just orange and white. Let me look at the other one, see, so I can, and that one's, that's probably not the original wire. And that one is green and just green and white. Okay, let's start with the one I can figure out, the ball gate. This side doesn't have a color apparently, but the banded side is 588, which is green, slate, slate. Or green, white, white, maybe? Oh, they've got, geez. Okay, so that's green, slate, slate. Green, white, white is green, slate, slate. They've tagged that on there. And that is that is not the same gauge as this wire here. Geez, I wonder if one of these are fried. These little transistors here. So anyway, green slate. Okay, so let's, and that should be to the banded side, and it is not. So that is backwards. So this is all wired up backwards here. So that one's backwards, and who knows about the rest of this stuff. So if that's been rewired, then all this monkey shit down here is all, yeah. This is would all be backwards and upside down too. Yeah, look at this. It's all, who knows if it's right. But that is definitely wrong. I'm gonna start by disconnecting off these two. Yeah, you can see the person that did this did that other one also. See how they soldered, it went through. Okay, I'm gonna swap these two and take these two out. And let's see if it works. Probably won't. Probably the transistor is blown. Well, I figured out my colors over here. This 344 is orange, yellow, yellow, which looks like orange, white, white. And that should be the banded side. So this one here, if I can see, this one should be on the bottom. I don't remember, I just desoldered it. I don't know if it was on the bottom or not. I'm gonna look and see, look at my video from just a second ago and look. I just looked and I think this one was wired up correctly. This one was backwards. So I'm gonna wire this back up the way it was, which was correct. And we'll give it another shot. I bet it doesn't work. So upon booting up, this F19 blew again. I'm gonna figure out where F19 is in the schematics. I bet it's right around this nonsense here. I could probably follow the wires. Now it's this, it's yellow, gray, gray. I don't see where yellow, yeah. I'm gonna have to just get the schematics out and figure out what it goes to. Well, there's F19. So it goes through the coil, and I'm pretty sure it's going the correct way now. and then it goes through Q3. That's one of those bottle cap resistors. So probably that bottle cap resistor is blown. And or so, trying to see how this is run. So I believe the way this works is that bottle cap resistor is not resistor, transistor, bottle cap transistor. Trying to look. Yeah, the ground, that's the ground off there, I believe, yeah. So this signal here comes from the back box. So there's a, not a tip 102, but the equivalent of the tip 102 on the driver board that drives this, that closes that grounds the whole thing. So the transistor on the back box may be okay in the back box, on the driver board. It could just be this one here. 2N5875. I've got a variety of bottle cap transistors. I may or may not have that one. So it's the same as the other one. So I've got two of them right next to each other, so I can look for similarities, shorts, etc. So for sure this thing is shorted. If I go between, do a diode test between this right leg and the case, it's a dead short. So that's done. Like I said, I don't know if I've got one of those. I may or I may not. Well, I went through my bin and I didn't see any 5875s. And I was looking around, and the only place I found anybody that had them in stock was on eBay, shipped from China, and half that stuff is fake. Literally fake, where they take a bottle cap transistor of whatever type, and they'll print whatever number they can make the most money with. Literally, that's what they do. I mean, it's... but anyway, I went to Marco's and did a search, and it's cross-reference the 3792, which I do have a couple 3792s. So I'm in business. So I'm gonna throw this in there, and maybe I'll check the transistor that drives this on the driver board, make sure it's not fried, and then we'll see where we're at. All right, I got this wired back in there with a new bottle cap transistor. And I put in a 1 amp fast blow instead of the 1 amp slow blow. The last time it blew, I believe I didn't even start a game. So it's booted up, and I'm gonna start a game. So I gotta use the phone here. Press this switch here while I press the start button. You got credits. I can hear the credits going on there now. Okay, let me try it one more time. I don't think it blew. So let me throw this playfield, drop this playfield down. Well, actually, let's just, I'm gonna press the switch here. Nothing. But it may not have been activated because I don't have the lower flippers, so it may not even be turned on, because I may need that U or L relay. I need to put y'all on the stand so I have two hands. So I'm gonna manually press this L relay, and now I'm gonna press this switch and see if it fires. Does not. Well, everything else is working. I don't think that's blown. Which is progress. Did not. Okay, so I got my fuses intact. I'm gonna go ahead and put in the right fuse here, the 1 amp slow blow, since that's not blown immediately. Well, I started up a game and let the ball come down here, and the the ball got stuck right here, and it's because this thing was pushed in like that. Y'all can't see what's going on, but that wire is in the way. So it's supposed to basically just like let one ball at a time go through. When that activates, if I get my finger on it. But the issue was it was already like that, so that wire form is in the way, and it didn't let the first ball get to the switch. So this thing was basically locked on, and it is hot. So I think that thing lit up. I don't know when it lit up when when I booted the game up. I didn't hear it, but it may have, or it might have just, or either when I booted the game, or when I started the game, or when I went to the lower playfield with the ball. I'm not sure, but it's very hot. I really don't want to. I think it's going to be okay. If it gets too hot, it melts that sleeve, and then then it ruins the coil. So something's locked on. It could be as simple as that. No, because we just checked that switch. The switch is working fine. So you got to look at the that bottle cap like this one that's under this playfield, and or the transistor that drives it. I never did check the transistor that drives it. I figured that probably wouldn't have propagated up. I wired that bottle cap the way it was wired before. It may not have been wired correctly, so it could be that. Or maybe the transistor on the driver board. I don't know. I'm going to let this thing cool down for a little bit before I start diagnosing. I want to see if this thing locks on when I first turn on the game. If it locks on right then before the game even boots up, then it is the transistor on the driver board is bad. So I'm going to turn on just for a second. So just as soon as I turn on the game, it locks on. So that speaks towards the transistor on the driver board is bad. Could be this one's bad also. I'm pointing down here, but I'm betting it's probably not. Let's just check it real quick. So I'm going to put this in diode mode. Whoops. Check this. Recently installed bottle cap transistor. It is shorted out. I blew it. Dang it. And it's shorted just the way the last one was. Right there is shorted. So it could be, I've got this thing wired up backwards. I thought I had it correctly, and it is the same way it was before. Or it could be that the transistor that drives this is shorted, and that in turn shorted this one. So I need to go upstream and check the other one. I should have done that already, but I didn't, and I may be paying the price. Or it could be fine, and this one could be wired up backwards, or both. So that bad transistor down there, it leaves on A10J4, goes through there, comes around, goes to A3J2, pin 10, which is this one here, 1, 2, and that says a 1 right there, real small. That last one is 10. Do a diode test on this one. It's not as shorted, but it's way different than the rest one. Between the middle and the left and the outer is 0.7 and 0.7 on this one, which sounds good, except for every other one is 0.7 and 1.3. So it's different. So I'm pulling it out, swapping it out. I'm going to swap this one out, and I'm going to swap that bottle cap resistor out again, or transistor. And yeah, hopefully don't fry it one more time. So I got the new little transistor in the on the driver board replaced. I got this replaced. I double checked the wiring. I think it's all good. I thought it was good last time, but I didn't check that transistor. So maybe this one was blown and that one was blown. I replaced this one, and then this one fried this one. So cascade of errors. So I'm going to boot this thing up, and I'm going to look real quick. I'm moving it with my hand. It's not locked on yet. Making all kinds of funny sounds. I wonder if I don't have everything plugged in. Or maybe that's just the sound when it boots up. Anyway, so I am going to press this switch and start a game. Okay, it's not locked on. It was before. So now the question is, we hit this U relay, or this L relay. That did not lock it on. I'm gonna put y'all on the stand so I can do this a little bit better. So are we in the game? We are not scoring. Okay. Should be in the game now. I think we're in a game now. We're in a game. See if we're locked on. We're not locked on. Okay. Okay, it is not activating when I press that. I'm gonna hold this and I'm gonna press this lower switch. Oh, it worked! It worked! I don't know if I needed to hold that or not. Let me just press it by itself. I do. I need to hold the L relay and then hit this. Well, it went once. Maybe, I don't know. I wish I knew how to get the L relay to activate. It will work if it starts, if the ball goes down. I just don't know where the switch is that does it. It must be maybe en route. Maybe it's this switch. Like right before it goes down there. I don't know. I don't see a switch. Let's see if we can cook another relay or two. Oh! Okay. Oh, that's the dead one. Flipper's not working down there. Great. Maybe we'll do another fuse. I don't know. This is getting old. This up and down the Playfield is getting old. It's looking a little toasty. I guess we'll check. Huh. Didn't recognize the ball going down there. That did it. When I press this button, oh, there's a ball in here. the issue. Gosh, I can't get it out. This is the most difficult game to work on. So I'm calling it quits for today before I lose any more hair, if that's possible. And I'll start on this anew in the morning. So it's next morning. I'm all refreshed, ready to jump at this again. First thing I want to talk about is this thing going back and forth with this relay. Well, first off, this relay is not directly controlling it. What it is this is in attract mode, and both that and that are controlled by the driver board, but they didn't have enough solenoids, so they used the lamp, the little small lamp transistors to drive these. And when they coded the game, they weren't thinking, oh shoot, that lamp transistor doesn't actually drive a lamp, it drives that and that. So they're errantly going on and off and on and off. They're all the black holes are like this. So there's really nothing to do about this one. There is a solution to keep this from going, and basically you intercept the wire that drives this coil here, and you run it down through this relay. So basically when this is energized for the lower playfield, then it opens it up and that one won't work. So that's the solution. But still, this is going to be clicking on and off. So you have the clicking, which is like not a big deal, but it will keep this thing from cycling. So, you know, if you got this thing on location, and they were all on location. I mean, people talk about these older games being like home use only. Yeah, not really. Exceedingly rare. Let's just put it that way. I'm sure there was a couple, but exceedingly rare. These were all sitting on location forever, well, for years, and click, 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 click. It was doing this forever. So that's first thing. Next thing, I investigated these issues. So I am going to start. So these are PNP transistors, which is they're kind of the reverse polarity of a normal transistor. But in any case, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure and see if I've got voltage to this coil here that's not working, that kicker. I probably do. Another interesting thing I saw in there, this little X, I thought somebody had written that because this one was bad, and obviously somebody's replaced it. That's not what that means. That means that this game has installed these pull-up resistors. There's a pull-up resistor. It keeps a little small trickle of 5 volts on the base side. So on the base side of these, there's 2 wires, and one of those comes up here, because basically this needs ground on the base to activate this, to close the switch to make it work, because they're backwards polarity. So some of the games didn't have this, and so if it's got this little diagonal board with a little plus, that's what PinWiki said. They talked about that little thing, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what that is. I thought that was marked because somebody marked it because this was bad. Nope, it's because that was installed. So that's good. So without further ado, I'm going to get my multimeter. First, I'm going to see if I've got voltage on this offending coil that's not firing. All right, let's see. I'm just using this grounding plate down here. Going back here, 25 volts, so that's good. All right, next, let me get a jumper. If it's long enough, yeah. I'm going to connect to this grounding plate again. And it should, whoop, popped off. It should fire. Neither one of them fires, and I know this one works. Huh. It said to ground the base on this, and I didn't really... I was wondering about that because they're PNPs. I was wondering if that was right or wrong. And I'm wondering if it's wrong, because neither one is firing. Let me make sure the other one's, surely they both got voltage. I'm gonna check the ball gate one now. I mean, it was working a second ago, so, well, yesterday, a second ago. So both those coils driven by these, both have voltage. And this is the one I replaced twice, and it's working now. So, I'm tempted to ground out the one that's attached to this pull-up resistor, because that should make these transistors fire. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to ground the base, which is what the transistor, the little transistor, the lamp transistor up on the board should do. That worked. That did not. So I think that's bad, or something's wired wrong. So I yanked this. This is the one I just yanked out. It's definitely bad. So let me show you what I did in the game. I was testing, well, I was testing like this, between the case and the two legs. I thought I was. Okay. Well, in game, I was getting the same on both of these. But the difference is when I go like, here's the good one. Let me turn it around. Between the emitter and the base, I get to 0.5 forward on this one. It's open, so this one's dead. That's why it's not working. That's why it's not working when I ground it also, so that's trash. Throw this one in there, and hopefully we'll have a playing game. All right, oops. So I got the new transistor wired in there. I'm gonna ground the base here. Perfect. Okay, well, I guess I'll go ahead and launch it. Still got that one dead pop up there. I'm gonna touch it up a little bit here. Solenoid. So what else? I think we've hit most of all the switches. Opens the gate. Well, that needs a little lube, but it triggered it. It's just sticky, the spring or whatever. So let's go down the lower playfield here. Flippers are going, lights are on. Oh, captured. I didn't mean to do that, really. Heck, throw another one. I actually don't even know where that next capture is. And this may not have enough slope to get back to the switch. it didn't go. I heard it go, but it's not enough pitch. Let me see if I can get it to go. I got this thing is pitched back so much like this. It's not going back. It's not rolling. There we go. And that's not kicking hard enough. I don't know what to do about that. That kind of sucks. Well, shoot. I thought I had that. I guess I could start and make sure that's the right coil, because it might not be. Somebody swapped it, and it doesn't look like a very big coil. It looks like the same size as this one. I know this has got a 6 1/4 amp fuse, and one of the things PinWiki said it was to change the fuse on this to like a 2.5 amp slow blow. It's a 6.5 amp slow blow actually. I'm gonna get the lights on, see what size coil that is, and make sure that's the right coil. It looks kind of puny for a kicker like that. I'm guessing maybe it's not the right coil. So it's an A1657. So this is that sheet from Pinball Rebel. Where is it? Ball lift kicker. Supposed to be an geez, I can't even read that. 1893, which I'm guessing is going to be a much bigger, or 4893, much bigger coil. Well, I don't have that coil laying around here, so I'm not going to be able to do a play video anytime soon. I'm gonna, next time I place an order with Pinball Resource, I'll get one. In the meantime, I'm gonna go through these pop bumpers, do the upgrades. I pulled the 2 off the lower Playfield. So to upgrade these, which is really fix them the way they should have been made originally, is take this cap off there, replace it with, and put the polarity the other way. So put the positive on this side, take this diode out and just put a jumper across it, and just swap this cap out with a fresh one, and probably reflow the solder on these header pins here. Yeah, that one's pretty cracked. And then should be good for another 45 years. So I got those 2 back in the game. I'm gonna take that one out and those 2 out, and the missing one I got sitting in the bin. I'm gonna see if I can, it probably doesn't work. I'm gonna take it to the bench and upgrade it, maybe do some diagnosis, see what the situation is, see if I can get it fixed, or maybe it's working. So here's these last 4. This is the one that was in the junk bin that I suspect may not be working. It's had some jumpers added, that to that, and that to that. So they did the same 2 mods to both of these. So there's not actually a trace from there to there that's missing, because it's a single-sided board, so that's not a factory trace. They're just like, maybe that was something to make it work better, and maybe that's not needed if this thing had been updated with, you know, removing that diode and swapping this cap around the other way. I don't know. I will say another thing on these chips, they're like only halfway soldered in. You see, y'all can see those holes there, and they're all over. So they're like, this one's even worse. I mean, like the holes they're only soldered on like one side. They're just barely soldered in there, and those are not soldered at all. Maybe somebody swapped this chip. Yeah, those are not soldered at all there. I don't think. Let me zoom in, look on my phone. Yeah, they're not soldered. What the heck? This one works. I guess there's no trace now that I look at it a little closer. Well, that one, okay, that one's soldered. They only soldered the one that had traces, but it just kind of makes the chip kind of I'm gonna go ahead and solder them all, make this chip secure, because I mean it's right next to the pop bumper. It's getting beat up. I may or may not leave these jumpers on there. Kind of thinking taking them off. Maybe I'll take them off this one first, because this is the junk bin one, and see if it works. If I get, I mean this one works. It doesn't have them on there, so I don't see why they're necessary. I think I'll take them all off. This is the pop bumper that had the red jumpers on there, and then I realized once I took them off that it's also got cuts to the traces. A cut there and a cut there. I think that's an accidental partial cut. I don't think that's actual cut, but that one is cut. And they got the same cuts on this other one right there and there where they've done the same jumpers. So I don't know if these are the same. Are these the same chips? 7416, 74, looks like 7412. 7416, 7421. Okay, so they're not the same. I thought maybe they were like one set part of one chip was bad, so they used a different one. But I don't know. Somebody obviously was trying to accomplish something, make these things work. So maybe I should have left that on there. If I'm going to use this, I'm gonna have to fix that trace. You know, clean up adjacent to it, put a blob of solder across it. So I got all the pop bumpers back in. I did notice when I was updating these that they already had the staple in there. I'd already taken out these two caps. I didn't see if those had been reversed. And these are the two that had the jumpers on the back. So I did basically put those jumper wires back and put the tray back. Basically, I put those jumpers back to where they should have been in the first place to reproduce the traces that had been cut. And so these are stock with the addition of the Pinwiki upgrades. And that's the one that had the red wires, and that's the one for the trash bin. So I kind of keep track of what's what. And those are the two that I only did the upgrades to. So what I'm gonna do is, I guess I need to drop all this stuff so I can start the game up and see if they're working. Oops, I hit a flipper. So I took this one that had the red jumpers on it. I put the jumpers back that were originally, and now this one, well, it's right here. It works. This one, I put the jumpers back. This one, I changed the jumper. I took the jumpers basically off and fixed the traces. And this one works stock. This one has to be in the modified state. So I don't know. In any case, I think all the solenoids are working now. As far as I know, all the switches are working. I think they are. Is that thing working? Yeah. That coil back there is the wrong coil, way underpowered, so I can't really play a game per se. This thing needs a full tear down and everything, but I think everything's working. I don't know about all the lamps. Probably half the bulbs are burnt out, but a lot of them are working. It's got these funny 313 bulbs. 53. Is that what it's supposed to be? I thought it was a 313. It says 53. Anyway, they run off 24 volts. Geez, I'd kind of like to play it. I'll do another video once I get this thing dolled up a little bit. I really want to. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. If I'm going to put it on location, if I dare. It's kind of a daring thing to do with a black hole, but I'm definitely going to doll it up. I really like this game. So until next time, if you like the video, click like, subscribe, say hello, and I'll see you mañana. Cheers.